Okay, I think we're live.
I'm not seeing me live. Yep, there we are.
There he is. Viejo's in the house. I like your channel
I'm
name.
getting my Spanish for old man.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, viejo. Viejo could be anything old. You could have you know un huevo viejo. It could be an old egg. But
I should change my channel name to Vaquero.
there you go.
You know, Vaquero and Viejo.
You have the double V.
I
Hey, how
should
you
try.
doing out there, everybody?
All right,
You
look
got
at that. We got Tactical Fud was the first one here. We got Michael Hurtneck, Lee Scott, um, MSB 9021. We're gonna have a really good live stream because Walter, he's got some powerhouse stuff. I mean, I think I'm gonna copy this guy and do what he's doing. And we got Curtis Long, Uncle Milty. So we have the Lee automatic processing press. Walter, um,
sir.
define this. It's not. It's really not a press. Define it in one word.
I have to use two. I'm just going to call it a reloader's tool.
Isn't that it? That's why I
Yeah.
can't call it a press because
It's so many things. It's not the same as any other press for sure. With our two different receivers, a high receiver and a low receiver, an upper and a lower receiver. It's almost like the AR-15 of reloading gear. It's
it
such a
is.
neat device.
You need to coin that to your channel because that's what it is. It's the AR-15 of reloading equipment. You know.
Yeah.
So we have Uncle Milty, Del Pogue, Info Brothers, Reloader 762, Hammer Down Arsenal, my good buddy, and so
Dang, it's the whole hee haw gang is here.
it is. It's great. So Walter has been showing me some pretty neat things he's doing with his APP, and I want to do it with mine. Super handy. Um, so I'm gonna just let him take off with this.
Okay. Yeah. Let me grab something here, and while I'm out of the picture, guys, you can still hear me. I have to get my magic wand here. Um, I've been using this press since it first came out, and there are several other folks that who have also used it since they first came out. Uh, Andy79Z28, our good friend Andy, was one of the very first adopters, and I've mentioned this in the side chats a couple times, Hi Boy. But if you look at the pass-through shell holders, let me get over here where I can get this in camera view here. There are two types of shell holders. Can you guys see the difference between those two? One, the surface here is flat, and this one has got a groove in it. Okay, these were the first ones that came out. And what would happen is if you were depriming and punched a primer only part way out so that the primer was kind of down into the little hole, it would lock up and you couldn't get that shell out of there. Or if you had a primer that came into a case, or that came into your case feeder over there with a high primer, you might get it shoved in there, but it wouldn't go all the way out. So Andy discovered that right at the very beginning, and he got a hold of Lee directly, and he said, hey, you guys need to carve out a little deeper channel there, like we see in some of our more standard shell holders, and so that we can deal with those high primers. And they did. They listened to him, as I recall on Lee's website, they even acknowledged him for that. But that's why these newer ones are chamfered out like that, because of Andy. So I thought I'd mention that. And then
Oh, and there's another thing. Am I correct that they did that also? Because I think it was Andy. I was on the website, and what you're saying just blew me away. But also, if the brass rim had a catch on it, it would hang up on that, and so they opened that up also to allow for that. Am I correct on that?
Yes, exactly. Yep. So they fixed that right off the bat. The first few shell holders that I got were, the older style, and then the rest of them I got after that were all the newer style. The other thing I wanted to show you guys is this. This is a shell holder case, and it's not made by Lee. It's made by RCBS, and this is where my pass-through shell holders, Lee calls them Express um, shell holders. And I'm going to put some links up to some of this gear that I've got on Highboys forum here later. But the numbers on the shell holders, Lee did one good thing, at least, that the number here is common to their standard shell holders, as well as their universal shell holders. They're all the same number. So a number 14 here, it does the same job as a number 14 on any of their other types of shell holders. But they're not etched in there very deep, the numbers, so they're kind of hard to see. This little RCBS case comes with these little stick-on number tabs here, and you can hold a dozen of these on here at once. And when you buy the Express shell holders, this card is on the blister pack that you get them in, and on the back of that is our list of all of the various calibers and which shell holder you're supposed to use, and it tucks right in there. So this little deal from RCBS, this little storage case, works perfect for your APP shell holders. So I wanted to show you guys that. That was one thing that I discovered. And then just a couple of other quick things. I use the multi-tube feeder for doing my cases with what Lee calls their case collator up at the top. Okay, and this thing is real simple. They're about 15 bucks. Maybe they're 11. I forget. They're not very expensive, but I have two of them, and here's why. Unless you do a quick little modification to this collator, the 9mm cases, 3 or 4 out of 100 will drop down into those tubes upside down, which we don't want to have, because then they come out down here upside down and they gum up the works. So we don't like that. Well, one of the fixes for that is you get yourself a piece of this PEX tubing, 1/2 inch OD, and you cut yourself 4 pieces, 3/8 of an inch long, as square cuts as you can make them. And you tuck those down inside of each of the 4 holes to where they're basically flush there. And that will keep your 9mm and 380 cases from entering the tubes upside down. 99.9% of them will go in straight that way. You still might get one upside down here or there. But that kind of relegates this collator to be just for 9mm or 380, unless you want to go pull those out, okay, each time, which is a pain in the neck. So I just got a separate collator. So I've got one for my 9mm and 380, and then I've got a separate one here for everybody else. They're cheap enough to allow you to do that. Then the other thing that I think is kind of essential are these stabilizing clips that go on the multi-tube feeder. And that's only if you're going to use the multi-tube feeder. If you just use a single tube, then obviously you don't need these. But these get pretty wobbly, especially if you're going to use this for bullets. And these are 3D printed. They're all over eBay. Okay, and I'll find a link to somebody on eBay that, you know, how eBay is. Those guys come and go. But I'll find one. And they're inexpensive. And you get, usually they come in a set of 2. And that holds these things together nicely. And it's really handy when it's time to come and put the tubes back in place. Okay, makes life just a whole lot easier. So there's that.
So I have a question on your tubes.
Sure.
How long do those tubes last you?
Those have been in there for 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, PEX is pretty hard, durable plastic. So, and that's
No, no,
PEX,
no.
PEX, guys.
Your Lee tubes.
Oh, these?
Yeah.
These are my original ones, and I've used 50,000 cases have gone through there, maybe.
Yeah.
Since I've had this thing.
I've got 4 more cases coming for this one on my collator. So that'll give me 4 on the 6-pack and 4 on this. And, I thought, am I going to order 4 more tubes from Lee? Where am I going to store them? And
right.
By the time I need them, they might be brittle,
Right.
I just don't see what would wear them out other than
where they will wear out and start getting a little rough is right up here at the edge, and at both ends, from stuffing them in and out of the collator. But if that happens, you get a little crack, cut it, trim them down.
Yeah.
Just keep trimming them.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and I think you can buy that tubing, at the hardware stores. I don't think you have to get it from Lee. Just cut it however long you want. Get this guy reloaded here. Let's see what else. On your stream the other day, someone was asking a question about can you stiffen the spring? And you had mentioned, Hi Boy, that that yours seem plenty stiff. And at first they are, but they can get loose after a while and not do the job of pushing the shuttle back and forth like it's supposed to. So what I did, and again, this was an Andy 79Z28 trick. He said, well, we need to figure something to stuff down in there to stiffen it up. And Andy used a piece of trimmer string.
Weed eater line.
For your weed eater stuff, cut to length. And I didn't have any of that, but what I did have was one of the little red plastic straws that are always taped onto your spray lubricants and WD-40 and that kind of thing. The little short straws, they're just perfect. Yeah, I had to trim off a little bit, and that keeps that spring nice and stiff, but still flexible enough to do what it needs to do. So that helped a lot. And we got Andy to thank for that idea about sticking something down in there. The springs over time, if you take yours on and off, which I do because to do my bullets, I spin this out of the way. I spin my multi-tube feeder out of the way. I take the shuttle and the spring completely off and get it out of there. And I just drop my bullets right into the sizing die.
Are you saying you take the spring all the way off the tool?
Yep.
I haven't taken the upper off yet.
Yeah, you take that spring off of there and get it out of the way. Move these out of the way, and let's say I have my bullet sizing die in here. It's just much faster to just drop them in there, and it literally goes that fast. If you're going to drop bullets into the tube to fill the feeder tube, you might as well just drop them right into the sizing die. There is from Lee now that they've got their 6-pack out with a multi-tube feeder as a bullet feeder, that they have a rig so that as the bullets go through the sizing die, they go right into the tubes.
Okay.
And fill your tubes, right.
I want you to back up for a moment.
Sure.
You just said something. If you're going to do something, you might as well resize too.
Oh yeah.
Okay. What do you?
Okay. So what I'm saying is, so I got some bullets here. All right. These have actually already been sized.
Yeah.
But let me take this out of here, in fact. And we'll put a sizing die in here. Incidentally, guys, you can use your old style Lee sizing dies just as well with this as you can with the newer ones. All right. They work, the older style work fine. You don't have to run right out and buy the APP bushings. And in fact, one of the drawbacks with Lee's bushings, not only the new style but the old style, is that they don't have a whole lot of variety in their sizes. But if you go to NOE, they're in Utah, NOE Bullet Molds. He makes sizing dies that can be used with this press. There's a little adapter thing you have to get from him, but he has a huge variety. For example, if I want to size my 45 Colt bullets at 453, I'm out of luck with Lee because they don't make one unless you order one special for $20, which they will do. But NOE's got them. NOE does not sell a push ram with his dies. You have to get one of his. When Al first started making his push through rams, he made them a little too fat and they would stick up in the die, and guys were having all kinds of problems. My bullets won't go through. It wasn't the bullets, it was the rams were sticking
The
up.
ram, yeah.
And he got that figured out. But anyway, the point here is that I was making, High Boy, is if you're gonna fill bullets into your tube to use the bullet feeder for sizing on the APP, why do it twice? If you're going to feed them into something, feed them into here. Just feed them straight from your container right into your die. Oops, that was already sized. And so
now I'm with you.
In other words, I dropped a bullet on the floor. Either Elvis Ammo or Andy is here somewhere. He heard us talking about him. So you might as well just drop them right into the die, right? And then, punch
now I know what you meant, because I tried it both ways. I should go either way with that. I sit there, remove everything, and feed it by hand, and that's when I thought, wow, I could just use 2 APPs, leave one with the spring off and everything.
Well, you saw how long it took. What did it take me? 8 seconds to move that stuff out of the way. It didn't take any time to do it.
No.
So that's, I tried to like the bullet feeder system for sizing bullets. Couldn't make myself like it. Unless you have a way to use a collator type system to fill these tubes, then it's a waste of time. And you can do that if you're using double-ended wad cutters. That's the only kind of bullet you can use the collator with. To fill
it doesn't matter which side
tubes.
falls down.
It doesn't matter which way they go through. Right, exactly. So that's my MO for the sizing of bullets, and it literally goes. If that's out of the way, it goes just this fast. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, you might as well just drop them right into there. And the throats of these dies are chamfered, you guys. They're slightly funneled. So, I mean, if you get the bullet anywhere close to going in their nose first, they fall right in. It's really cool.
Yeah.
One thing I saw you talking about, High Boy, that I really like, if you use this bottle that Lee provides you as the catch bottle, it doesn't hold very much.
No.
And the threads on these are not real strong either. I filled it all the way up when I first got this, and the threads gave way on one of the bottles. It fell out. So you had talked about using one of Inline Fabrications rails under yours. I can't do that on my setup because this is on a rolling card and this is just bolted to the lid. There's no good way for me to do that. So I just made a couple of brackets here, and I put a box underneath here, and my bullets drop into there. Same thing with my cases. They come out over here into this box. But that idea of the Inline Fab mounting rail underneath wherever you're going to mount your press so that you can use a standard bin under there, that's perfect. I wish I'd have thought of that earlier, but I might have been able to come up with a way to do that. But this works for me, just a cheesy box.
I'm going to increase my screen here and show the viewers what you're talking about.
Okay.
We'll be right back. So what Walter is saying is I ordered this rail from Inline Fabrication. This rail is 16 inches long. They have a 16, a 32, and a 48. So I ordered another 48, and I'll be taking this rail off. And then I have another one of these bins on the way. So this will this means with these rails, I can put this bin anywhere I want, okay? And so I could remove this. What Walter's saying, that's just today, okay? That's just today. Well, this bottle has actually, the threads, watch. Well, it doesn't take much to break the threads on the bottle to pop off. So what I'll do is, for all the jobs that require this, that will just snap up in there like that. And then I can literally put this box anywhere I want. I could put this box here and have another box there, and all my primers dump into here, ding, 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 and just fill it. It's not going to fall off. Then I can put all my cases over here. And then, so as I was messing with this in between the videos I have made, my next video, by the way, I'll be having more videos coming up tomorrow. I might have one tonight, but I got to thinking, you know, on the end of this bench, because I have one solid rail, man, I could slick up another one of these in line and be able to adjust my boxes and catch my primers and catch my cases. It's a solid setup. So if you've got your inline, you know, if you have this Lee APP, all I would have to do is move this over about there, and I would have it, okay? The reason I want a full 48-inch bar is because I've got my Lee 6-pack right there, and I just want to play around with that and see how I can utilize the rail for that. So that's what he's talking about. Super, super handy setup, you know, and everything that Inline Fabrication puts out is bulletproof. After the live stream, so Walter's going to go to the forum after this. He's going to start a thread, and he'll put all the links to everything he shared, and then I will take that and put it under this video with a link to this rail and this box in the description box. So by tomorrow morning, you'll see all that in this video. So if you want to come back and go check that out, you can, okay? But this works good. It's just too good not to run with. So that's my thoughts on it. So let's get Walter back in here. I'm going to call. Let me catch up on some names here.
Yeah, let's go talk to the guys. Hi, Gene.
We're loading from the hot pot. How you doing there, brother? Good to see you. And Andre D'Angelo, DW37. What a great crowd. Rex Chandler. All right, we got 28 on. Good show so far. Keep going, Walter, because this is just great stuff.
Yeah. Another couple little gadgets that, and these are not entirely related directly to the aft press, more to the lock rings and bushings that Lee gives you, is the little small black plastic lock ring wrench that Lee supplies with their lock rings and the bushings. I probably have 5 or 6 of those, and they're all in the trash somewhere. They're too little and they're funky. There are a couple of other choices. Again, these are eBay, you know, purchases that guys on eBay have made with their 3D printers. Got a little longer handle. This one came in like a 3-pack. It came with that one and this one that fits over the top. Okay, and another little one that fit over top. But the best one I've found so far, and this is another Andy 79Z28 find, and that's this wrench right here. And I forgot the name of the company. It says GB and then LNW-500 on it. I don't know. Is that in focus? Okay, probably as close as I can get right there. And it works way better than any of our other wrenches. Okay, it just is. It's perfect. Okay, and I'll dig up. I got these from Amazon. So I'll dig up a link for that and put that in that list over on the forum also.
Walter. So that last wrench you showed, I'm going to tell you two reasons I like that. One, length for leverage. Two, these work, but because they're so short, I think you can relate to this. You push down and then the handle flips forward. Whereas that I noticed you were doing more of this and less of the down push.
Oh yeah, it fits in your hand really nicely. In fact, you don't need both ends of this. I've contemplated cutting this off and hafting a handle onto that so that I would have a handle for it. The other thing that's nice about it is they're magnetic, and they'll stick to your magnets on the side of your side of your
so
press mount there.
If you could locate that and include that link.
I'll find that.
Yeah.
And and while we're at it about magnets, I don't know why I'm such a fan about magnets, but this is my Lee Universal shell holder set, and these I use when I have my little small Lee reloader press up here that I need a quickie single stage for. Sometimes if I only got 30 cases to decap, I'll use that. But these are big old giant magnets that used to be on the bases of those cheapy Lee magnetic parts trays, the little round dishes that you get from Harbor Freight for $2, or sometimes they gave them away. Well, after a while, the glue separates the magnet from the base of the tray, and you got those circular magnets. Well, these things are all metallic too, so they stick on there. And another magnet on top helps keep the front of that from falling over, and it gives you one extra place to put your wrench. What you can't see is on the back side of here is a couple more of these Lee ceramic magnets. And there's a couple tools over there that I find myself using frequently with the APP. One is a little small screwdriver, and sometimes a case will get kind of hung up in here as it's coming down through, and we need to sort of push it back up into the tube so that we can move the shuttle if it gets locked up. So that lives over there. This one here happened to be courtesy of Julian Dunbar. That's MacMan 039 Reloading. This is a neat one. It's got a magnetic tip on it. So that lives over there. The 7/8 wrench that we need to adjust the nuts on the multi-tube feeder lives over there. And a little small pair of tweezers. And sometimes, again, you get a case that's sort of half stuck funky wise in there, and you need something to get in there and poke it out or grab a hold of it. So those tools live over there on the same kind of magnets as we had right there too. Handy to have. And another good reason to have the inline fab stuff, because these things are all steel. They'll hold all the magnetic stuff that you want there.
So I have a tool very similar to those, called my Leatherman, and I'm watching you thinking that looks easier than having to pull my Leatherman out every time. I've had to pick like 3 or 4 cases out, and I'm always pulling my Leatherman out, and I'm thinking that little screwdriver magnetic and that little tweezer, that's smart.
Those are the 3 tools that I keep on this mount all the time. And how it goes, some days you will run 1,000 cases through here and nothing will happen, and the next time every 4th case wants to be recalcitrant and just misbehave or for whatever reason. So it's handy to have that stuff. And those are dedicated tools. That's the only place they ever live, and they just stay right there. Handy for me. So there's a couple tips there for you. The rest of this press, I gotta say, you were talking, I think, in one of the other streams, Highboy, about the way this thing works. And since it's a coaxial type press, you really don't have a ram that's moving. This whole upper receiver glides up and down exactly precisely on those two pillars. And I mean, it's dead on. It really does a nice job. You do want to come in and lube the lubrication, parts. You got to come in here and lube those. And I've taken this all apart a couple of times since I've had it. I think almost 3 years now since they first came out. 2 years, I guess. And simple to take apart and clean those pillars up and get them relubed. You can also put a very small amount of mineral oil on your fingertip and come in here and just wipe it across the bottom of that slide piece right there, and that will help this thing move a little bit better. It may or may not be necessary for you to do that. If they get a little sticky, then try a little mineral oil down in there. But for such a simple machine, you look at, there's not 20 parts in this whole thing, and it works just really gracefully. I think it's just a superior piece. The roller handle is, to me, a definite plus. I did not like the handle that it came with at all. It was okay if you're only going to do 20, 30, 40, 50 pulls or something like that. But if you're going to do 1,000 pulls, you want this roller handle.
Yeah.
It gives you more of a.
I can see nice I'll have it eventually. It's just got to budget it in, But
yeah.
I see the benefit to it. I do.
Oh yeah. Early on, a lot of us made these, and if you kind of look at the design of these two pieces, it's really this kind of the same as the design of the original one, and you just turn the handles around, put this one over here and this one over here, and then make a roller for the middle, and that worked. But the one from Lee, the factory one, is better, and it's not expensive. Mm-hmm. Like most Lee stuff. So, but I definitely recommend the 4-tube magazine, carousel style magazine here for doing cases, but I disrecommend it for doing bullets. If you fill all 4 of these with bullets, man, this sucker wobbles all over the place, and they flex and they bend. The little clips help, but as I said, I gave up using the tubes for bullets. Anyway, it's just faster and easier to drop them in, directly into your die.
Well, see, I sat down and I processed that, at first when I was getting it put together, it worked really easy. And then I thought, okay, if I'm running one tube, do I want, let's say I'm running a bullet for, a 45 Colt, okay, a 250 grain bullet. How many times am I gonna have to stand up and fill the tube and sit down and then fill it? And so I thought, well, okay, for that application, I could see me just sitting there hand feeding one in at a time. Yeah. Well, now you're sitting down, you're relaxed, and it's just one repeated motion versus having to get up and fill one tube. So then I thought, okay, if I have 4 bullet tubes, maybe if I'm doing a 22 caliber, 4 of those, that won't really be a whole bunch. But, lead's not light. And I thought, how would I want to run this? So when you said that, it was like I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I said to myself, he makes sense, for me to really utilize the bullet tube on this, if I was going to do that, I would just consider setting up a bullet feeder. coming straight. Like Andy had mentioned that today, and I had already thought about that.
Yeah, and there are some out there.
There are, but for the amount of money that you put into it, like you're saying, just hand feed it in.
Yeah,
And
you just need to get the spring in the shuttle out of the way, and it takes a second and a half to do that.
and
I
so
did try Highboy at the very beginning. I made plugs, just rubber stopper plugs for the
yeah,
tubes, and would fill the tubes at the bench, fill 4 of them at once, and put plugs in both ends so that they wouldn't fall out. And then you bring your next tube over when your
yeah,
first one's empty, pull a plug and keep your finger on it while you're shoving it
yeah,
down in
right,
there.
right, yeah,
But and even then, you got to put them all into the tube one at a time.
yeah,
You might as well put them in
yeah.
through the die one at a time.
The
So
the other thing, I had considered just using this 6-inch rail from inline, but I told myself if I could come all the way to here, then I could just pour my bullets here and hand them in that way. So I could just,
oh yeah,
you know. So as far as feeding bullets, I'm not at all detracting away from the tube, but I think that what Walter's saying, it makes more sense. It, you're
well,
not you're
and the
not
other thing
saving
is
any
if you're a
time like
lefty, and you want to feed from the other side, then it's kind of a pain in the neck to deal with stuff over here. But if you're just going to drop them straight in here, it doesn't matter what side you're operating on.
yeah, I agree. So I don't see how you'd be saving any time stopping to fill 1 tube or 4 tubes every time versus just
No, you don't.
just going as fast as you can and feeding them. So I
Yeah.
like that input.
Yeah, after a lot of trial and error, um, trying to make the tube thing work, and it does work. I shouldn't say it that way because the tube feeder does work, but it's not any more economical as far as time goes than putting them in by hand. And then you've still got this wobbly nature, and I don't have this one tightened down. They're not that wobbly, but these tubes full of 200 grain bullets are
Yeah,
wobbly up there.
yeah,
You know, so and there's something to that.
yeah,
Of course, it's to each his own. That's another nice thing about this is it's so simple. Anything that's that simple is going to be adaptable to
yeah,
how you want to use it. The more complex a machine becomes, the less adaptable it becomes. I think, as far as coming up with ways to economize your time, or range of motion or whatever. But it's just hard to beat this little guy for the money.
yeah. So
Okay, Piker 64. No, those clips didn't come with the tubes. These are aftermarket, and those are you can find them on eBay. And I think there are a couple of other .com outfits that sell them, but they're 3D printed and they're cheap. They usually come in a set of 2, and I think they're almost necessary. I wish Lee would include them.
you know what?
That would run their price up, but
So in my opinion, I was thinking with the 6-pack of doing something like that because I mean this is where I'm at with the 6-pack, right? They're all separated, and I thought I was going to try and think of an ingenious way to do that. And then when I saw that you had that, the first thing I thought is, well, why doesn't Lee make those and charge another $7 for the machine? Because you would pay it.
Yeah, I think they ought to send the collator with it. The collator does help hold them together up at the top. And when I first got the collators, I just put rubber bands around there, and that would work. A nice big, we call them asparagus rubber bands here because our local asparagus comes wrapped in these quarter-inch wide, heavy rubber bands. And so you could put a big, heavy rubber band around the middle. You know how often I take those tubes out of those clips? Never. Once this whole setup just stays like that. The only thing that ever changes is if I'm going to change my 9mm collator out for my every other caliber collator, not collimator, but so that's the only time that I bring those tubes out of there, and the clips just stay on there. They never come off. They don't need to. So yeah, that to me, this piece up here, your case collator, and from Lee, that's a Lee part, and there are other ones. There's aftermarkets of these that you can buy that have a setup in them, and I can't remember, I only looked at them once, that defeat the need to put that little piece of PEX tubing in there. Their collator does the same thing somehow about keeping your 9mm and 380 cases from inverting as they go into the tubes. So those are out there also, and available. And again, probably eBay or someplace you can find those. But yeah, I'll put a link to these guys. Somebody, and I bet there's 50 guys on eBay who make and sell these clips. There's a bunch of them.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, so and now as far as I know that, like, you're old school, so you're like all over the spectrum from. I mean, I could see you sitting down with a Lee hand loader versus a fully um, if I'm sure if you could put a fully automated progressive machine on your bench, you would master it. So the range of what you do, have you just for fun sat down and just tinkered with full out reloading on this?
Oh yeah, yeah. When I first got it, I looked at it and I thought about that, and I thought, what is it that you couldn't do with this?
Yeah.
As far as our main steps with the reloading, and because you can put your sizing die up in here, then you can come in with your powder funnel die and bell your cases, or your Lyman M die and bell the cases if you want to do that. Then you got your cedar die that goes in there, and you can come back and crimp on it. So it's going to behave in that fashion like any single stage press. You do one step on all your cases, then you do the next step on all your cases, then you go fill them. And the thing that I thought about the longest was priming. And no, wait a minute. You can prime on here too, because Lee has a ram prime system that works just perfectly. In fact, they have a separate one now for designed for this press. And the only thing that's different is that it comes preset up with the breech lock bushing kit. But if you have the old style Lee ram prime, which I do, right here, serendipitously. Okay. So this guy goes down in, you got a shell holder type thing, and you have to get a Lee breech lock bushing like that. So this piece goes in here. I'll just do it really loosely here. That would go into your upper receiver. Your shell holder for your case, goes in there. And then down at the bottom, in the bottom receiver, is this ram. Okay, and that fits into, where's my other piece? Did I bury it somewhere? Oh, it's on here. That goes into here instead of a shell holder. That would go onto this piece right here, and I got that bottle on there now, but it doesn't matter. Okay, and again, you take the shuttle out of the way, so this ram would come up. Actually, the shell would go down through there, expose the top cup of the ram. You put a primer in there, and then bring it down into your primer pocket. It sounds complex, but it isn't. It goes really fast, and it works the same way then as it would on any other single stage press. So the Lee ram prime system works on here, so you can do your priming on there too. There's just isn't anything you can do. And because there's no flex, when this thing comes down here, you guys, and you get your contact like you do on your sizing die, you run your sizing die down until it kisses the shell holder, and there's no flex. You can't do cam over on here, and you wouldn't want to with a carbide die anyway, but you bring it down there until it touches, and it's the same every time. And the same thing with seating bullets. this actually can do a fantastic job as far as precision seating of your bullets goes, because there's no wiggle or wobble anywhere in that thing. Pretty amazing setup, really.
So, based off what Walter is talking about, like precision of it's just slip the bullet in. Um, I've got some 41 Magnum Starline cases here, and I'm going to work some 41 Magnum loads up, and um, I'm going to work the powder bullet charge up for tightest shot groups. I want to use this for some precision handgun, but then I'm going to be, as time goes by, I'm going to use this for some precision rifle. I mean, I would be a fool not to. Right now, my journey is like kind of what Walter said. I want to find out what it can do and what it can't do. I got to do that. And so what Walter is saying is the truth. I think what I need to do is I need to get a roller handle. I need to do that. And I think I'm in the camp of when sizing bullets, feeding them in one at a time. I don't see the time saving of having to stop. When this is full, you can size the bullets real quick. But the amount of time you have to stop and put the bullets in, if you just sat and pulled the handle, you'd be far ahead and much more relaxed. And and you know what else I like about hand feeding the bullets is every time I put them in, I'm inspecting them with my eyes. It was, you know what I'm saying, Walter? Because you're like,
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, look at the base of that one. That one doesn't look good, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, and you know, there's folks who like to use the bullet feeder. It's just exactly as you said. You lose the amount of time required to stop and fill these tubes one at a time. And you know, with a big bullet, you might only get 25 bullets in there. You know, with a little 115 grain 9mm bullet, you'll get more than that. But you still got to stop and fill the tubes and make sure you're putting them in the right direction. And you might as well just drop them in here. And for me, it just goes really, really fast. You know, once you kind of get the rhythm and you get your muscle trained to drop that bullet in the right spot every time. And because the mouths of those, because the mouth of our die is funnel shaped, they go in there way easier than they do into those tubes. The tubes, you got to fill them, you know, you got to get them in there pretty straight each time. And these, man, if you're anywhere close to getting the nose on that funnel, they go right in there. So I really enjoy it. And, you know, kind of back to the, can you do full reloading on here? I would think, I don't know why I'm hesitating, but if it came down to it and I could only have one single stage press, I'd pick this one because of it can do so much else besides a single stage reloading process. You know, we got all of this great case sizing, you know, rapid decapping, that kind of stuff that we can do with this that could still be done with another single stage press, but not the way this guy does it.
You were just like talking my thoughts, you know. Thank good Lord that I don't have to have only one press, but I thought,
right,
man, now how could I not have this?
Yeah. No, it was such a great tool. When I first saw this, I couldn't get my hands on one fast enough, and there were some growing pains with it, like a lot of new Leap, you know, gear. There were a couple things that, you know, weren't quite ready for prime time. The shell holders, for one, that we mentioned at the beginning, that Andy got squared away with Lee, and we have him to thank for that. When I was first learning to use this, and I wasn't real sure how far away from this handle bolt I could bring this tube without it interfering, and so I was kind of experimenting with that. And at some point along the line, I had a case come down that was upside down. In other words, the mouth of the case came down first. And it let go of the case right here, just in front of the shell holder. And then my top receiver came down on top of that case and put a nice little cookie cutter hole in the slide part here. And that left a ridge on there, and the cases would hang up. And I called Lee, said, hey, here's what I did. And so they sent me a new piece here, free. They said, yeah, you're entitled to one free piece. Lee may have since gotten rid of that policy where they would replace each part free once. But anyway, so that's the second slider that I've got on there. I don't even know what to call that part. It's got a name, but it's not slider. But and again, this thing comes apart really easy, guys, to take it apart. There's only two screws that hold this black piece on there. It's easy to take out and clean. The pillar's got 2 bolts up here. Pull those nuts off, clean them, put them back on. Easy.
It's called the case inserter.
Thank you. But this whole deal right here is one piece, and I got mine boogered up, and they gave me a new one.
Hey, but so, let's not all tell Andy what we've been saying about him. He's on now, so let's what we've been saying for the last 51 minutes. And let's calm that down, guys.
No, I'm going to tell him. He deserves it. So Andy found this wrench for us long ago. And Andy, we talked about the express shell holders and how you had to work with Lee right at the beginning to get them to chamfer that bottom part of that shell holder out so that we wouldn't have to deal with high primers. And we have Andy to thank for those things. And he had this thing, I think, before Lee officially even announced it. Andy had one in his playroom there, and he was working with it and trying to figure out every possible way he could break stuff on it. But he's the earliest adopter that I know, and he had me convinced from the, he had me at fast. When he showed me boom, 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 boom.
Well, now I want to I gotta ask you this because they didn't come out with the 6-pack until we were pretty much most of the way through COVID. About what, 2022? Am I correct?
For this?
No, the Lee 6-pack. The Lee APP they came out with about 2020, if I remember right. Or maybe
APP? No, it was before that.
Andy, when did they come out with the APP?
When did you first get that one of yours, Andy? It's more than 2 years, isn't it? Isn't it almost 4 years going on now with this thing?
Serial number 6.
Yeah.
But then
they've been out for quite a while now, and I mean they're just it's hard for me to imagine not having one now.
For me, my whole point is they came out with the 6-pack 2022, I believe, and through COVID they kept their APP going and the development of the 6-pack.
Yeah,
they kept it going.
Yeah,
and even though sometimes they haven't had product to sell, they've got back on it. And I'd say out of all the reloading companies out there, they've probably done the best job of keeping up with the dies and equipment support like that,
Well, and part of their stuff is they use a lot of materials that are easy to get a hold of and keep up with. A lot of plastics, of course, but really, the main body of this is all metal. Our shuttle here is plastic. The catch bottle down here is plastic, which it needs to be. You wouldn't want anything glass there. And the only thing that I use my catch bottle for really is primers. Bullets, I don't drop into there. I put another box underneath there.
Yeah,
and
right.
I pad my box, you guys, when I'm dropping bullets in there. And I have even done this when I'm getting ready to deprime a bunch of new, I'll say, new to me range brass that I've been storing in a 5-gallon bucket that's time to get deprimed and tumbled and bring online is
Yeah.
I'll put a stand right here, and instead of this box, I've got a big old giant funnel, and I deprime those and send them right into the container for my tumbler. They go right in there. Instead of having to deal with them twice too, and then fill it up, add the water, add the soap, put it on, turn the dial, go watch TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, great product, ingenious design. I think it's just
Yeah. I
simple.
do too. I do too.
I don't know how long it was in development, but
You ever?
oh, and Andy, while you're there, the other thing we mentioned was the spring stuffer. Using the trimmer thread or trimmer line, and I have a spray nozzle off of a WD-40 can in there now that works just as well. But that was one of his things that he figured out too. So yeah, Andy says he also had one of the first ACPs, which is a variant of this one. Okay.
So Walter, when you're using the Lee equipment, do you ever wonder how they come up with this stuff?
I do. I look at this as not a concept that I would have thought about. I'm fairly certain that they were looking at something to sort of mimic or incorporate the Forster coax press.
Yeah.
To come up with something like that.
Yeah.
Because that was a popular press, but cost 4 times what this thing does. And I'd be willing to bet that their engineers were sitting around saying, how can we come up with a cheap Forster type press? And they started looking at the idea and said, hey, we can put a receiver down here and a receiver up here and use breech lock, so we can put some stuff on the top and other breech lock stuff on the bottom, and we can switch it around. And I go, and then they came up with this shuttle system for feeding the cases, which was another genius thing.
Yeah.
When you guys get one and you look and see how the little jaws, grasp the case up here and then let go of it up here, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. The inserter, how that's made, and like their Elite Auto Bench Prime in this little plastic thing. It has a primer elevator. It's an elevator for the primer. How do they think of that?
Yeah.
Their simple flip tray primer feed. Who thinks of this stuff? Brilliant minds. That's who thinks of it.
Except for the guy who invented that stupid little wrench that they send you for their die lock rings and breech lock bushings. That wrench sucks. I'm sorry, Lee. Terrible.
Yeah. That guy was, he could have put a little more into that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But how about over there, side chat? You guys got any other questions for us at this point?
Walter, do you have? Andy says the Lee desktop primer is great. I think he's talking about the Lee Auto Prime. Do you have one of those?
No, I do not. I have the RCBS Bench Prime, and so I've never felt the need to get the Lee.
Oh, you ought to get the Lee. You really should. Just go get it. It's so affordable. And
they are inexpensive. What are they, $35 or something? They're not expensive, and they use the same tray as for the primer feed on their other presses, I believe. The little fold over.
Just get you a couple extra large and small elevators for the primers, because those wear out. And we get it, and we'll do a live stream. I'll bet you'll love that thing.
Yeah, Andy says the Lee Rooster. The one you have on your bench, that's what he's talking about.
It does look like a rooster, totally.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to make the rooster noises. I'm not going to do that. I'm live. That just won't look good,
Right. Okay,
so Hot Pot says I have the Lee bench top. He loves it. Yeah.
Oh, Piker 64. Do you have to order the D-Prime kit, or is that included? No, you don't get any D-Primer. I use Lee's Universal D-Primer, but virtually any D-prime D-priming die that you want to use will work. You just insert it into a Lee breech lock bushing. Okay. Any 7/8 by 14 die thread will fit into these Lee breech lock bushings, and you get one set up, and you just drop it in there. Okay. So pick your choose. There's half a dozen really good ones as far as D-primers go.
So Andy says he has this same primer. It's the same primer elevator. Never needed a replacement. On the original one that I had, it wore out, and when I got a hold of Lee, they upgraded it. Well, about the time that they upgraded it, I went ahead and bought extras of what they upgraded, and I haven't worn them out yet, but it's nice to have them as backups if you need them.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah, but I agree. I haven't worn mine out either, but I haven't put 40,000 through it like you have. I just have my times when I use it and times when I don't.
Yeah. Andy's got a question there. I'm not familiar with that die, so I don't know. There is a separate D-priming kit available from Lee for the APP. I have it, but I've never used it.
The die itself is 3 7/8 inches, but from the tip of the decapper to the tip of the decapper, it's 5 7/8. 4 7/8 and 5 7/8. But the decap's not going to get the pin itself isn't going to get in the way. I really like this decapper. It's pretty nifty. It's really cool. I like it. Time will tell how this is going to hold up. And I've got a lot of cases I'll be working on shortly here. Well, Walter, thank you, man. You just knocked the show out of the park, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, Piker likes his Lee Rooster too. I'd never heard it called that, but I don't have one, so
What they look like.
I wouldn't be paying attention.
I always have mine up there, and it always looks like a rooster. It's exactly what it looks like.
I'm going to look back through the side shot. Measurement from the bottom of the top part that holds the die to the bottom of the roller. Okay, I know where he's going with this. So are you talking about in here, Andy? There's some situations where the stuff up here interferes with the handle.
Mm-hmm.
If this is what you're talking about here, Andy, from this surface right here to the bottom of the roller handle, 6 5/8. Yeah, 6 5/8 to the fat part of the roller handle. And that measurement would be, yeah, that's the minimum right there.
Oh, the FM dies will fit, huh? I'll have to get that roller handle sooner than later.
Yeah, I really like that was a good improvement.
Yeah,
the plastic knob would kind of eat my hand right there a little bit when I was doing a lot.
Okay, so I was running the heck out of this, and then yesterday I went to grab the handle on the 6-pack, and I had a blister going on, and it is from that right there. That's exactly what that's from.
Yeah, that'll save you. I had taken to wearing a glove with the standard handle, and I thought, well, that's dumb. The roller handle is just a lot better feel to it. Plus, it's wood up here instead of plastic, and it just, you know how
Yeah.
that goes. It's just better
You know
feel.
what? I really like their wood handles. I think they're just fine. Some guys they complain about them, but they're okay.
Yeah, they're fine. You know, they're wood on them is inexpensive. I don't even know what that is. It's not a hardwood, but you know, if you didn't like it, you can make your own. It's just out of a nice piece of oak or something. If you got a lathe, and just turn your own. But
Yeah. It's good to have you, Jason. Jason is local to me. He's a
okay.
personal friend of mine. I had to get
Oh,
him over
good.
here on a live stream, but
Heck yeah.
he's a busy family man.
Yeah.
He's an awesome guy. He really is.
Family first, man.
That's right.
Always.
That's right. Well, I think we had a good live stream. Very good information. So now I would say that this is going to be my most used piece of equipment on my bench. You know, everything has its place, but in the way of processing brass, this has filled the gaps of what I've been needing for a long time, and I knew that. I knew that. It just took a while to where I could, fit it into the budget, and tax season is here, so
Yeah.
it's a little tax refund that works. So it's a nice setup.
Andy, is the new turret press significantly different from the classic 4-hole press? I haven't looked for it or seen one. All I had heard was that there is a new turret, but I don't know what difference it is from the old one that I have, which is another good piece of gear too. I like my Lee turret press.
So you have the APP, the ACP, the 1000, the 4000, and the turret press.
Okay. Oh, Andy says the base is different. Is it different in a better way, Andy, or? This is the press that I'm talking about, and Andy says the base here is different on the new one. This is a nice press too, you guys.
That's a 4-hole turret.
Yeah, that's the 4-hole turret, and I have 7 turrets set up for each of the main pistol calibers that I reload for, and I've got a auto drum powder measure on each one. That knob there for removing the drum is one of a set that Papa's Place sent me. We did a little unboxing of that a couple weeks ago. He sent me a whole bunch of those. Anyway,
how long is the caliber changeover on that?
5 seconds.
That's incredible.
Pop that off, pop another one on, man. Done deal. Yeah, no, the caliber changes are easy. The turrets are $11. You know, you go buy a set of Lee dies for $35, and you're good to go with a caliber change for the price of a tool head from Dillon, an empty tool head.
Yeah, right. I mean, just for the cost of a Dillon tool head, you're getting everything you need on that, and you're ready to roll.
Oh yeah, they're simple, and they work. And again, it's an auto advancing turret press. If you want it to be, it's got this little vertical piece here that every time you pull the handle, it engages not really a gear system. I don't know what you call that helix on there, but anyway, that automatically advances every time you pull the handle down to the next station, or you can just take that out and advance it manually like you would with other turrets. So you can use that press as a single stage also. You do all of your sizing on one stage, do all your 50 cases or whatever, rotate it once, powder charge and flare the case mouth, advance it one more time, seat all your bullets, advance it one more time, crimp all your bullets. So you can do it that way, or you can have it rotate the case, the same cartridge through each station. If you want to do it that way, it's another good idea from Lee. It's been a real successful unit for them, I know.
Good
Hey,
stuff.
JH586 is here.
Yes, he is. Good to have you, buddy.
How you doing, Jamie?
Well, that's about all we got. But that was just a great live stream. Thank you, Walter.
Yeah, it's good to kind of get back into and highlight the Lee gear. We seem to always want to talk about the Redding stuff and the Dillon stuff, and it's higher end. And higher end and higher price doesn't always mean better or more efficient. You can get a lot of work done and do quality work with this thing or that Lee turret press, or the who was it, Pony or somebody was bringing up the Lee. Oh, Dwayne says the Lee classic cast. No, Jamie said that the Lee classic cast. Yeah, that C press. That's the big one. That's a good solid unit. Now, it was good to have you here, Andy. I contributed for you in your name because Andy really did, guys. He had a lot to say about the development of this press early on, having one of the very, very first ones that came out. He found out a lot of the deficiencies and got a hold of Lee and said, "Hey, you can easily fix this or that, and what about this?" And he shared all that information with us.
That's awesome. That's just great. All right. Well, so you want the honors of calling everyone out?
Yeah, guys, just type in APP, and I'll call you out. That's easy to do. Okay, MS B9021, Andy 79Z28, Uncle Milty, Dwayne 7834 is out, 198 1903A4, sorry, old eyes, is out, Info Brothers is out, Bravo Delta is out, Philip Sutton is out, Hammer Down Arsenal, Pony 47, Old One Guy, I didn't see you come in, Old One Guy, howdy, Dale Pogue, a day without learning is a day wasted. Thank you, Dale, for that. JH586, the wonderful Jamie. Don't forget to catch us on Friday nights, you guys, over on Georgia Shooting Connection. Another good show. Uncle Milty there. Let's see who else. Mrs. Highboy is there. Hiya, Mrs. Highboy. Jason Castillo. 3 Salty Dogs. I love that name.
Heck yeah.
APP from Barcelona, España. Yo hablo español, Salty Dogs. Estoy aquí en California. Info Brothers says, hi, Mrs. Highboy. Who else is out there? Maybe we got them all. Oh, Paul Jackson's out. All right. I think that's it. I think we got everybody.
All right. I want to thank Walter. What an awesome guest. We'll always have good shows when Walter's on. So, all right. You guys have a good week, and definitely next Friday, make sure you get over there, see the Georgia boys on the Georgia Shooting Connection. I should have my Bible study Wednesday night. I should be back on track, and then a reloading live stream workshop Thursday night. And so it should be a fun week. So once again, everyone, we appreciate you. We can, if we didn't have viewers, we wouldn't have a show,
Exactly.
And we just appreciate the support and involvement. And so we just look forward to seeing you guys next time. I'll let you close with that, Walter.
Okay, folks, again, thanks for playing along. tomorrow's Moldy Monday. I got a mold video coming out tomorrow. I got a new firearm that I went and shot today and got video coming up on that this week, and a couple other projects in the fire. So you can catch me over there on those things on my channel. But for now, from my end of this, that's all she wrote, boys.
All right. Okay, guys. We're out in 3, 2, 1. God bless. And we'll see you guys on the next.